Hey everybody, Tony D. Back in the backyard in the shade. Doggo's running around. Today on, I guess this would be, I guess I'm gonna make it a rant, screenwriter's rant, writer's rant. Today I want to talk about writers groups and why they can be and are more often than not poisonous to your writing progress. I have joined writers groups off and on during my tenure as a writer, and I've been writing since the first grade, so that's a long time. But I haven't gotten a lot of help from writers groups or creative groups. There were a couple of groups that were more generally creative, included writers. They were nice to socialize and network. And that's what I was there to do. I was there to socialize, network, get information to help me and move forward. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people join these groups to have a good excuse not to write. I joined the writing community on Twitter recently, and they've been pretty good. But I would say better than 50% of the people in the group spend all their time trying to get more followers. Just constantly. And that's fine up until a point, but if you're not getting the followers to promote your books, why are you doing it? You're just doing it to increase an artificial number on Twitter that doesn't really mean much. Yes, you want to be out there, and yes, you want to expose yourself to other people, and hopefully these other writers have other followers that might read your work, but it's pretty limited, and the way they're gaming the algorithms, I'm not getting much out of it. I did get over 1,000 followers, which I didn't gain 1,000 followers. I'd been hovering in the mid 900s for a long time, slowly gaining a few followers here and there. But I'm not like a Twitter guy. I don't have time to be on Twitter. I've got so much to do. How do you people have time to spend hours on Twitter? Now that we're in lockdown, yes, I have more time to spend on Twitter and kind of analyze it a little more. But what I'm seeing is today, and I don't mean to denigrate this person in any way, I'm just saying my observation. This woman started another writers group using Twitter to ask people to join some sort of Google group. But the way she framed it was, oh, it'll be great, we'll provide emotional support to each other. That's not what a writing group should be about. It's not emotional support. If you need emotional support, you should go to therapy, or you should go to a group therapy situation. That's where you get emotional support. You should get it from your family, your friends. If you need your writers group to give you emotional support, you're using it for the wrong reasons. Writers group are supposed to not be for that. It's supposed to be to push people forward in their writing. If anything, you want a more competitive atmosphere, and the writing community on Twitter is at least about 40% of that are people posting, this is how many words I did today. I'm moving forward. I finished a chapter. I finished a draft. I finished a book. I got a new book out. That to me is all positive stuff. Good for them, and I applaud them. But for me, I don't need to engage in that. I engage more in the promotional end. I have finished books. I want them bought, and it's worked, and it's worked out great. I've gotten Kindle Unlimited readers for some of the books, some of the later books in the Pineys, which are harder to sell. It's just like comics. It's easy to sell the first issue. It's harder to sell the subsequent issues. So I think there is a real trap in joining writers' community. And if you're in one, you have to analyze it and really look, is this benefiting me in any way? Am I learning any new skills here? Am I getting contacts to any new publishers? Am I making any sales? Or am I using it as a crutch not to write? That's the issue there. If you're using it, if you find yourself spending more time in the writers community than you are actually writing, you have to leave. You have to leave, or you have to greatly reduce your time in the writing community. That's all there is to it. You're not doing enough writing. Writing is about writing. It's not about being in a writing community. Writing is not about being on Twitter. And you can get sucked into Twitter because it feels like you're promoting well. It feels like you're making progress. But understand there's an algorithm behind it, and things are not as they seem on the internet. Never was. Even back in the Wild West days when it was more open. And it's especially true for Twitter. They've been gaming the algorithm for years. I suspect algorithms are getting more and more sophisticated, and they probably work something like this. And I use this not as a computer expert, but as a guy who understands the world of nerds, where most of the computer guys come out. So if I was going to set up an AI and I wanted to, in the early days of censorship on the internet, they just blocked people, censored them, people that they thought they can get away with it. Now they have to be more sophisticated. There's more sophisticated people rising up and saying no to censorship. So how do you do it slowly so it's unnoticed? Well, you create a point system, just like in a role-playing game. So you have the AI recognize certain terms and phrases. You create a tiered system in which slowly your Twitter feed or channel or post are squeezed out. It's kind of like I would say it's like China's social system, only it's underground. It's in the AI, and you cannot see it. Nobody can deal with it. So as you commit wrongthink, you're squeezed. But when you commit rightthink, it opens up a little bit. And the reason I speculate on that is, number one, that would be a nerdly way to do it, like a role-playing game. But number two, I've noticed that for my YouTube channel, when I praise a movie or a video game, I tend to get more hits. But when I criticize it, I get a copyright claim. I get people fewer hits in general. I get a few people complaining sometimes, but it doesn't have the interaction. And I think what's happening behind the scenes in YouTube is probably they've initiated an algorithm that only promotes products and can recognize YouTubers that are promoting the way they want, based on their phrasing, based on their words, and downplay the ones who are more critical. And the reason I say that is because they've already explained that they have a system in which they take the recording of every word you say, transcribe it, and then have the computer look at the transcription. So the computer can't actually read your voice, but it can read the transcription. So, and that's probably true on Twitter. So, I've known people who worked various social media platforms, worked them for a long time, and then came up short. At the end of the day, got banned anyway. And so, you have to, like anything, diversify your portfolio. You have to diversify your social media platform. You can't just be on Twitter. You can't just be on Facebook. I know comic creators who, they launched their webcomic on Facebook, and they did very well when Facebook was open and you could post and get 5,000 retweets, no problem. Now it's like slam shut. The only people who see my post on Facebook are the 20 or so people who are in my circle, and I have way more people in my circle than that. But it's truncated. All my posts are incredibly truncated. Now, whether or not that's political, it might be. Whether or not it's just the algorithm, because they ask me for money every day on Facebook now. And I've not given them 1 red cent. Thank you very much. They're still asking for 3 cents because when Facebook launched its advertising platform, they launched it for free. And the idea was, well, you can have this for free. And so I tried it, and I put Superfrat up at superfrat.com. And I got a few hits, I guess. I don't know. I couldn't really read all the charts or whatever. I'm a bit of a boomer on that stuff. But at the end of the day, when they ended it, they decided that I had gone 3 cents over the free part. You know, it's like when they give you something for free and then you don't cancel it in time. But I never agreed to that, and I never gave them my credit card information because, well, I don't want it sold to Chinese gangsters. So Facebook, has been asking me for 3 cents for, I would say, about 10 years. Literally, that comes up every day. Like that's sort of my Facebook page when I log in to Facebook. I say, by the way, you owe us 3 cents, and I just go, well, good luck collecting on that. You can send me a letter, and perhaps we can deal, and I'll send you those 3 pennies, Mark Zuckerberg. But my point is, you can only put so much in one social media platform. Even the new ones that I'm into, Minds, Gab, and Parler, they're new and they're great. I only get so much, and BitChute, I only get so much traffic on them, but someday they'll take over because they're the freer platforms. But even they will be co-opted by the media conglomerates, and they'll be slowly squeezed, and the same things will happen to them. And then probably some other ones will build up. The audience on the internet will be atomized just as much as it has been in pulp culture and movies and TV shows. So, but it's going to take a long time to get to that. But my point is, if you're joining one of these communities, any community, whether it's social media or a writing community, you can't get sucked down the rabbit hole. The point is to write. Right. And, you need to, and granted, if that works for you to some extent, be disciplined about it. But if you find yourself doing more social media or more community than writing, you need to readjust, you need to stop, and really look at what causes you to write, especially new writers. New writers, you're especially vulnerable to this because you're subconsciously looking for any excuse to say to yourself, well, I didn't get to write today because of blah, blah, blah. You may not think that, but it's true. So my advice is, we actually got a plane today. My advice is to, be very wary of writing communities. And if you join one like the woman who I mentioned who's looking for emotional support, that seems to me a bad idea. If you join one where people go, hey, how much did you write today? It seems to be better. I would say that's a better kind of writing community because it's competitive and it's going to make you feel like, oh shit, did I write anything today? How much did I write today? So anyway, my 2 cents.